Hey everybody, I'm Daniel from Spacedock, and it's time to talk about this stupid thing. This is the Zeiston-class Star Destroyer from Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. Now, when this first appeared in the many trailers for The Rise of Skywalker, the whole community collectively went, "Ooh, this is interesting. Imperial-I class Star Destroyers, what's going on here?" And theories abounded about where these came from and how they tied into Palpatine's interesting plan to return. Had he sequestered away large parts of the Imperial Navy during the reign of the Empire as part of a backup plan in case he was ever killed, and now refitted them in secret in time for a comeback? That would be an interesting bit of world building and a nice way to explain how this fleet came into existence in only 30 years. But no, this is not an Imperial-I class Star Destroyer. It's not a refit of an Imperial-I class Star Destroyer. It's a new ship that is 800 meters longer than an Imperial-I class Star Destroyer. This is a ship that comes from a screenplay that demanded a new class of warship that Palpatine had constructed in secret with no existing basis whatsoever. The only problem is, when it reached the art and VFX team, or possibly just the entire production team of The Rise of Skywalker, they decided that designing a new spaceship was just something they couldn't really be bothered doing. So they took the Imperial-I class Star Destroyer CG model from Rogue One, and they scaled it up directly, proportionally upwards, by 800 meters in length, and then welded a gun to the bottom of it, and called it a day. Now, this is not a new concept in science fiction. Many of you Halo fans will probably know about the CSO class super carrier from Halo Reach, which is just the CAS class Assault Carrier from the existing games, with its model spruced up a bit, and then increased in size to a ridiculous 28,000 meters. It was pretty unforgivable then, because they had a pretty massive budget for Halo. The one time where it kind of was forgivable was way back in the day on Star Trek. This used to happen all of the time. The Cavort class battlecruiser is just the Brel class bird of prey, the same studio model used to represent something larger. The same is true with the Mirror Universe Regent's flagship from Deep Space Nine. The difference is, these were episodes of TV where the art department had been given 4 days to design a new spaceship, and they had a comically tiny budget and no time, and presumably after having a small panic attack, they just decided to use an existing model and tell everyone that it was a new ship. It's not the best final product they could have had, but it's forgivable under the circumstances. It's less forgivable for a $275 million 2019 Disney-backed Star Wars movie. It really does not get more mainstream than this. You can't just directly scale up a design that was assembled for a smaller ship, because there are windows, there's implied internal space, there are shapes and angles that become warped when they get increased in scale. I'm sure if we were to look at the 3D model of this Zeiston class and look at the bridge windows, they wouldn't have bothered to change them, so it would imply that the new ship's bridge is this giant cavernous ballroom with enormous 20-foot windows for the bridge crew to stand behind. And not only does it not make any structural sense, not only is it profoundly uninteresting from an artistic standpoint, but it is such a wasted opportunity. The Rise of Skywalker is not a brilliant film. It's a serviceably entertaining film. I got a fair bit of fun out of it. But it's certainly a kind of corporate printout obligatory conclusion to the Star Wars saga. But that's not to say that it wasn't without some kind of interesting ideas. Ideas that could have given rise to some really interesting visuals and some exciting new ship designs and artwork. We've got a secret Sith cult building a fleet on a mysterious stormy planet for Palpatine in secret for 30 years. They've managed to create dozens upon dozens of capital ships in alarmingly short amounts of time, and they're of a sinister new class built around this superweapon. You know my thoughts on the superweapon, but never mind. Imagine the cool designs they could have created here if they'd bothered to make this an original concept. If they'd bothered to sit down and think, what does this Zeiston-class Sith Star Destroyer look like? They could even have done something like the Star Forge from Knights of the Old Republic, had them being created by automated ancient machinery in the darkness, built for a minimal crew complement and modelled on ancient Sith designs or something. The opportunity for exciting world building and interesting art design is endless. Even just doing what we all thought it was and using the Imperial-I with a small refit, saying that that was done by Palpatine to recycle his ships, would have been more interesting world building. And it would have made sense. But instead of any of these options, absolutely no effort was made. A 3D model was recycled. The laws of physics were defied to enlarge a ship, to save everyone the effort of designing anything. And this is what we're left with to talk about. This is what the final movie in the Star Wars saga had to offer in terms of new ship designs. I understand if maybe the people working on this film just didn't care anymore, because it is quite hard to care when Star Wars is such a saturated concept by now. It's everywhere all the time. But the fact is, these people didn't have to care for much longer. They could have taken the effort to make the final last hurrah of their movie series as good as they could. And sure, maybe a lot of other departments involved in the movie did, but the fact that they felt it was okay to just recycle a 3D model and make it bigger, despite having essentially limitless resources for the most mainstream science fiction franchise in the world, is just bottomless laziness. And if you're wondering why there hasn't been a huge flurry of Rise of Skywalker content on Spacedock, it's because I am about as excited about this movie's spaceships as the people who made them were. That is, not very. Here's hoping that at some point in the near future, Star Wars gets some of its passion back in the ship design department, because it really wasn't all that long ago that we were getting the T-70 X-Wing and the Resurgent-class Star Destroyer. Really exciting, gorgeous new designs that gave everybody a lot of hope and investment for this new sequel trilogy. And it really is a shame to have that chipped away to the point where it looks like they've just given up. But there's a hell of a lot more great science fiction out there, made with a hell of a lot more passion, both present and past, for you lot to go and check out if you're looking for something more interesting to watch. Go and watch Babylon 5. It's better than this nonsense. This is Daniel from Spacedock, signing off. Thank you for watching Spacedock. If you're interested in supporting the channel, please do check out the links on the screen right now or in the description below for our Patreon and channel membership services. Anything you can pledge goes towards improving our team and our equipment and allowing us to put together bigger and more exciting video projects for you guys on the channel.